So, Mr. Pellenz, just a paper. That's the name of the art installation, and paper most of the time is your element to create and to materialize your art. First of all, why paper?
Why paper? Paper is a basic element we use in our agriculture, and there's the word of the paper, of the plain white paper, that is even an attraction for every artist to fill it, to deal with it, and for me it means even to become very basic with my work, needing as little as possible and using as little as possible techniques and stuff and all that. And it was a time of research to find the way which I wanted to express with myself with this material. And the most important idea was reduction of everything. Just using my hands, a scissor sometimes.
So it's economic?
And it's really economic. Besides, it's a technical paper. It's not an artificial paper. It's just a paper that's used for wrapping things, and that interested me to make something.
So it's
very
ecological.
It's
in the
ecological in a way. Economical, and even to transform this very simple thing into something very precious. That was my idea, and it took me a time to experiment around, and at least I found my way to transform this square into this living structures.
Can you show us, Mr. Pellenz, right now how the process starts?
The process is simple. I start with cutting the paper in a certain dimensions.
Okay.
It's like the golden cut. The proportions are in the golden cut, and afterwards I try to shape them very abstract, just to open it here, like you see, to have the possibility to make legs.
Okay.
Then I smash it to lose the respect.
Okay.
And at least from this moment on, it works very quick. It's not with thinking about what I'm doing. It's just with letting my hand express themselves, and just working very quick. It's made with a bit water, at least, and then it's formed on a table, and I let it dry.
Can you show us just right now?
I can show you just right now. I take that, I cut it here, I cut it here, I smash the things, I open it.
Okay.
After that, I take a bit water spray. I don't have it here, actually, because I even need a glass plate.
Okay.
And then I begin to form it. I begin to make the impression. I can't do it on the wrong side, but I try to fix the head, I try to fix the legs. And
so you leave it spontaneously to create a form by your hands?
Yes.
And you don't have the general idea having in your head, I will make this form or that form. So you leave it spontaneously on the moment?
Yes, it's on the moment, and you must see, if you look around, I make sometimes up to 4,000 or 5,000 objects for one installation. You can't make it with always thinking about what you are doing.
So
it's
you
a way
of let it go.
Yes, I have to let it go. I have to find the mood, just to let my fingers run, just to let my fingers make it, and even to feel a kind of flow in that time. And after working the first 10 or 20 objects, it's automatically.
Okay.
And everything comes out as a unique form. It is all the people I have seen in my life, I think.
Okay. Mr. Pellenz, you have been working for almost 30 years, but 16 years actively you are doing this kind of art installation, and you have several other arts that you find the way to express yourself. When did the first time started, and how did the idea came to do the first art installation?
Yeah, that's a special story, I think. In my younger years, I tried every kind of expression. I sculptured, I painted with every material I could find. And on a certain point in my life, I decided I want to find something unique that's only my expression. That was the decision to at least to throw away everything that I have done before, not really throwing it away, but even leaving it, taking it beside, and concentrating on this idea of finding a unique expression. So that was very hard. It was, you can call it a kind of crisis. I had to leave my home for that. I went to Barcelona for half a year, and I had my studio there, and I sit in this studio without knowing what to do, at least. Because you can decide that you want to find new expression, but you can't decide what kind of expression. It must come in a way, and so I had my, I think, 5 or 6 weeks of just sitting in an empty studio.
And then ring.
Yes, no, not that. It was not that ring, it was dong. To make it in a way of sound. That was not the best feeling you can have. But I tried, I thought, either you get crazy about that or you find it. And at least after some weeks I just was walking and in the town, and I stepped into a shop that only sells paper. And I found exactly this paper, and I took it and I went home. It was quite cheap, and I said, okay, let's take it, let's try it. And I went home to my studio, and I really didn't leave my studio for the next 2 weeks because I was working day and night. That was like the break of this kind of depression, or how we could call it. And first I just began with very basic things, studies of bodies. I make hundreds of fishes because it's very easy, but I saw this paper gives me the possibility to come to a new point in my art. And after the first 2 weeks, I began to add this with the idea of transforming public spaces with this method.
And you have
I was lucky to find people who wanted to give me the chance to
show
try
you
it out.
what you get.
Yes.
Okay. What is the aim of your art? What do you want to achieve? What's your message?
I want to bring this art. This is very. It's on the edge of awareness. You don't. It's no big effects. It's very, very delicate. I bring it in public spaces, not in galleries, not in museums. I just use public spaces like this. I work in churches, in hospitals,
in shopping centers,
shopping malls as well. And I want to transform these spaces just for a short time between 2 and 4 weeks. I install, sometimes I told thousands of it, and to get the people a vision of their own room, of their own space that they usually frequent, and to transform it just for a short time, and then the things are put away and never shown again. This is my idea, to bring art in this way in the public and not in this, let's call it holy rooms of art, just in the public spaces, very normal places. And even to play with this kind of awareness. A lot of people don't see it because it's white in a window, but when people see it and they begin to realize that every person I show is a unique person, they begin to think, wow, what a work. And then they begin to realize that it's playing with themselves, with their image. And they can put their own mind in these figures. They have no face, but
so everybody can find himself in
himself, and people see faces. in it. They see faces, they often see definite people, definite persons they know.
Then which of those are your Pellenz? Can we find one?
Oh, no, I can't say. It's sometimes when I'm making it, I find some figure and I said, okay, this is how I feel now.
Okay,
but,
so it's the moment.
This is the moment. It's just a moment.
It's not definite.
No, it's not definite because they are very open. On the next day, it can be completely other impression for me.
In fashion terms, I would say this would be like Dior.
Yes.
And let me find perhaps, no, I am looking for Chanel.
Yes, there's often some kind of fashion, some costume appearance in it. And this is welcome, that people can think about whatever they want. Just a short, very nice story. I've made an installation in a little church in Spain. And I put, for every inhabitant of this village, I put one figure in it, in this church. And an old lady came to her church and she wanted to go to her place. She couldn't go to her place because there was figures hanging in her way. And she watched every figure, and at least she stood in front of one figure and she began to cry. And I went up to her and said, "Oh lady, what have I done? Can I help you? What's going wrong?" And she said, No, thank you, young man, thank you, young man." She was a very old lady. "Everything is okay, it's very fine, thank you for what you have done here. But I just found my husband, he died 2 weeks ago. And I prayed here in this church for him, and now I found him here." She stood in front of a figure like this. This is what I mean, the people see what they want to see in these figures, and this is what I want to promote.
So we create our own truth.
Yes, we
and
create.
What's your truth?
My truth is, you see it, a big diversity and equality. Therefore, they are all white. And this is even a kind of message. I make white figures. They have no skin color. They have no history. They have no nationality. It's just to have people there and show that we are all equal. This is what I have in my background, my idea.
So how would you define, let's have a look, how would you define art installation?
My personal idea of art installation is what I told before, to transform normal public spaces with the methods, with the power of art. That's not the academic, yes, and to promote some message, some very simple message that everyone can read, without word, at least.
Okay.
Yes, these installations don't need a title or a prescription. They are just to experience, and the people can make out of it what they want. This is my idea. It's not the academical definition of art installation.
Okay. Art installation is not the only form how you express yourself. Yeah. You've been painting with canvas, with acrylic.
Yes.
You've been photographing. You've been graphic designing.
Yeah.
And so art is the language of your soul and your mind.
This is it, yes.
Tell me, which of these forms are most provocative for you, and how do you get your inspiration? How does the process of creating, of taking paintings or the paper or the camera, how do you visualize it first in your head, or do you follow your instinct and your feeling? How does the process start until you start to really materialize it?
Okay, let's start with the installation. This is my favorite form, and there are several aspects in it. For me, always from my childhood on, rooms that I entered gave me an expression that I wanted to fill them. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they were always a big inspiration for me. I come into an empty space and my head tells me, "Oh, you would like to make this or that in it." And so I took this up when I began to make installations. I followed the guidelines of the architecture and even the message of a room. for example, a church or a community hall like here, I try to catch up, to pick up the message of the room and of the architecture and to follow that. That is one inspiration, rooms or spaces. The other inspiration is I really love human beings. I'm very interested in how people act, not only as individuals. I even love it to look on a square like outside here and how the structure of people that pass this square, how this structure moves and how this structure is changing. And I love movement. You have seen in my photos.
Yes.
They are very
It's
rapid.
all about motion.
It's all about motion. This I don't make like a photographer. I never would say I'm a photographer. I'm an artist. I take this photo machine, and I follow the people. I run. I try to catch up and to take their movement, to come into this movement, and in a certain point I make my picture. And so these figures, something between abstract and realistic, come to my photos, and it's about emotion, about people in motion, at least.
So we're standing under a tree, an abstract tree, full of flowers and butterflies. And what is the most difficult part when it comes materializing your idea and your emotion to a physical world?
Well, first I must say this is not my work. This is the work of a local artist of Slajiana Svetkowska, who made this on my call for installating in this room. But to come back to your question, how the idea materializes. It is, first, it's just an impression I get. I tell you, I have this inspiration out of an empty room. I see the empty room, and when I'm asked to make an installation in this room, I try to experience the room. I walk through the room, I try to take up the atmosphere, and then I go home. And then I begin to fantasy about this room. What does this room need? What is my answer for the room? And when I have a certain idea, then I think the most creative part is already over, because
Is
at
it
this
difficult?
point...
Is it difficult to materialize it?
No.
Because like this sounds really easy.
It is
you
easy.
go to a place,
No.
you get inspired, you
Yes.
go home, you rest, then you have your fantasy,
Yes.
you come and you do it. But
Sometimes-
why then? Not every person is an artist.
No, sometimes I need some days before I get an idea. To be honest, I must say some places are complicated. They are overloaded with
So
architecture.
it's all up to place.
It's all up to place. The idea comes out of the place. And, but when I got the idea, the creative part is over. After this, work begins. It's really working. It's finding solutions for montage. It's finding solutions for the size of the figures I want to make. I even make installations with abstract forms. Sometimes rooms need this abstract answer. And from the very first idea on, I begin to plan. It's a lot of planning, a lot of working, sometimes 8 or 10 weeks, just making figures or paper elements. And even realizing the technical questions.
Does your artwork represent your fantasy, your personal fantasy, your personal dreams, your personal emotions?
Yes, yes. This is why I'm working in arts, to find a discipline that allows me to fulfill my dreams in a way. Even my artistic dreams, but even my dreams in social dimension. I work with the images of people. And I really like to be in contact with people.
So that's your dream, perhaps?
Yes, my dream is people to gather, to work together in equality, in total equality, without any boundaries, without any question of nationality or something like this. Stupid things for me, because at least we are all human, and as human we can communicate, we can work together, we can create together, and this is my personal, let me say, my personal idea of living.
And your mission, perhaps.
And perhaps some kind of mission, big words.
Mr. Yo, the bottom line of my show, Carpe Diem, is art way of living is your way to the moment. Do you always achieve to materialize, to capture, to paint, to create your visions and your emotions? Or it's a path that you are walking on it?
Yes, it's really a path. It's not always I get the best idea in the first moment. Sometimes it's really hard even to find an expression. For example, when I decide to make my experiments with a new technique or with a new instrument. As I first went out with my photo machine, I got crazy about this machine because I couldn't understand all this technical stuff, and that was a way of even struggling with this machine. And even when I had understood how this machine works, that was not the point where I could even make a good photo. I had to train, I had to experiment, and it needed a certain time. And it's not this living in a kind of other world where creativity and impressions and expressions come fluently. No. Sometimes yes, sometimes it comes to me in a moment, but even sometimes I have to work. It's sometimes very simple, hard work, like everyone who does any kind of work.
What's the biggest challenge about it? About you being an artist for almost 30 years.
Yes.
What were the biggest challenges for you?
The biggest challenges. One was finding this paper. This moment was the biggest moment, I think, in my own career, because I felt after a few days that this would be my future.
And that's changed your life,
it
the
changed
way of
my life.
living, how you live today.
Yes, yes. It changed my life completely, because before I found this way of expression, I even had, as much of the artists, more than 90% of the artists, I had to do every kind of work to survive, beside my arts. And finding this way of expression was the beginning of a kind of success that many of my colleagues are waiting for. At least
so
perhaps their whole
sometimes
life.
some things are that close to us.
Yes.
So we just have to have a look.
Yes.
And maybe that's the key for our personal success.
Sometimes even the key for our success is the simple things.
The simplicity.
Simplicity. Not to think in the complicated way that we can. To think simple, to believe that the simple things in our life are the source for our creativity, for surviving, perhaps, and not all these complicated, this very big things that we always are looking for. Like this very normal, cheap paper. This is for me even a symbol for how to find a way to live in simplicity, yes.
So, Mr. Yo, personally I got really inspired by your work. I feel honored that I had a chance to make an interview with you. I personally wish you a lot of success in everything you do, in your path.
Thank you.
Personally, I hope that your message through your art to achieve equality in diversity and about the unity and non-discrimination to be spreaded as much as you can, because I think that human beings, they need it as much as never right now.
This is right. I think so.
So thank you very much once again for being part of Carpe Diem, and Let's see in the end what the culture house of Tetovo will turn and what would be the message.
I'm even curious about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
Thank you very much.
Të dashur shikues, faleminderit për vëmendjen tuaj. Jo Pellenz është një shembull i vërtet i cili na tregon që ndonjëherë vetëm një letër e thjeshtë mjafton që të shprehim shpirtin ton artistik. Ju dëshiroj një natë të këndshme me programin e Alsat-m, derisa historia e radhës do të vazhdojë mërkurën e ardhshme në lifestyle-in magazinën tuaj të preferuar CARPE DIEM çdo të mërkurë në orën 21:50. Faleminderit shumë, Kemal Tangja, natën e mirë dhe mirupafshim.